Hi, you guys. I want to talk to you about three dreams that have felt totally different, but they finally, I figured out what the interpretation is, and those three dreams put together, alone they mean nothing, and comparing them to each other they meant nothing, and I'll explain that in a minute, or give you an example of what I'm talking about. But comparing them to each other, I was like, they don't really mean anything, but when I stopped and thought about just the general context of these dreams, I was like, aha, I see how they're related. So anyway, I'll get into it. I had a dream. I had three dreams the other night. The first one, there was a lady I know in real life who annoys me in some ways in real life, but like, because she seems too flippant and like she is a friend, yet she seems really fake in some way and doesn't seem to care about her apparent friends like she should. And by that, I'm not veiling the fact that mostly I mean me, but I notice she's like that to other people as well. And so anyhow, so this lady bothers me. So I had a dream about her last night, or the other night. I was visiting her and she didn't seem that happy to see me, for as happy as I thought she should be to see me. And then I thought she got a phone call. She disappeared to another room and she'd been gone for quite a while. I couldn't find her. So all right, so I went looking around the house and I did find her sitting on the couch with a bunch of her kids. And I was just like, oh, I thought you were on the phone. And I think she said, no, I was never on the phone. She just left. And I was just like, what? Okay, so that was the end of that dream. Second dream, a woman who I think in real life is kind of wacko. I do like her. I want to be friends with her. And sometimes I feel like I'm dismissed by her. I get this defensive feeling a lot. I know what my own problems are, some of them anyway. But anyhow, fixing them is a whole other can of worms. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, yeah, she's kind of crazy. So I dreamt she was a Walmart checkout or till person. What are they called? Anyway, and she was checking me out, and she did something wrong and had to go get the manager, and the manager and her, between those two, they fixed it. So it's not that something bad happened to me, but I also was not surprised in the dream because I would expect something like that of this person. Third dream, my real life doctor, he is always right. Like, oh, there's a fox and it has a bird in its mouth. Whew. Anyway, my real life doctor, my general practice, my GP is always right. He sent us to specialist, but he still knows what's wrong before he sends you, like exactly what's wrong. I think I don't know why he sends you, because he knows. But he doesn't seem to give people the time of day, or at least definitely not to me. And he seems to have give this impression, like if your arm's not falling off, or you're not like something like that, then if you're not dying, then shut up and get over it. And that annoys me too. So I had this dream that I phoned him, and actually in the dream, this part was the one that was the most confusing out of all three. I phoned him and I was so intimidated by him. You kind of like are at a loss for words when you see him in real life. You're just, because he's waiting for you to say this big explanation. Otherwise it's just like, why are you here wasting my time? It must be something big, and you don't have something like maybe as big as you think he wants, so then you feel bad. So anyway, so I was just like, I'm calling because, and then I kind of froze and forgot what I was gonna say, or didn't think it was good enough, and so I said something else that I knew he didn't really want to hear either, and it just seemed kind of like a failed call, a fail. But anyway, so those three dreams, I'm like, what do they have in common? And I'm trying to use the methods and the models to figure it out. And sometimes looking at symbols does help me. Like, what does a symbol mean? Of course, you have to look at what symbols mean. Sometimes North Battleford, even though North is a symbol, it's not a symbol for me, really, of anything besides it's a city that I go to all the time. It's the closest city to me. And I think that's most of the time all it stands for. It's not the name North or Battleford. What those things are, it's just the fact that it's a city that I go to. So anyway, so yeah, symbols do usually matter, and sometimes finding out what the general meaning of, let's say, somebody driving a car, which I've talked about before, but if you don't know, and maybe I could mention it again, comment if you want me to, what they mean in general. If you don't really have a reference for that, like you don't have a deep-seated feeling about people driving cars. If you did, then that dream, whatever yours, I'm getting way off track. Anyway, I was like, what are these dreams about about that is similar. So I looked at the symbols and I suddenly realized there wasn't anything I found in the dreams, the 3 dreams, beyond the fact that the doctor intimidated me, the first girl with the bunch of kids kind of intimidated me, and she acts like she kind of acts in real life, and the middle lady was doing, even though she doesn't work at Walmart in real life, she was kind of acting like I would expect her to act in real life. And I realized that even though we've heard the phrase, you know, the whole 10% of people that you meet won't like you automatically, it's nothing you do, and you won't like 10% of people. And it's just like, I've heard that, and probably you have before too, but sometimes I dwell way too much on, why doesn't this person seem to like me enough, stuff like that. And so I've recorded this a couple times, so I'm sorry if I repeated that. I don't have Alzheimer's. I've just recorded it too many times and I'm getting tired. But so I dwell on that fact too often, and I realized God was saying to me, that woman in that first dream annoyed you. And it's not just that you don't have to feel like she's just, that people are always dismissing you, and that there's something terribly wrong with you and you're a failed mess. I mean, maybe in some ways everyone could be better, so some things are failed messes, but that some people just won't like you quite like you want them to like you, and maybe you don't like them as much as you don't like them all that much anyway. So it's just like, yeah, keep loving them, but you don't have to go and try to be best friends with them, and don't dwell on it. You're friends with who you're friends with, you're not friends with who you're not really friends with, and that doesn't have anything to do with how you treat people that are brothers and sisters in Christ, or those that are still the lost sheep. So I don't know, it just really spoke to my heart instead of just speaking to my head. So sometimes 3 different dreams that seem to have no connectedness, look for something, just keep searching, thinking about it, turning it around in your mind, even if you don't know, and all of a sudden you might get this big moment that is just like, it's just a real simple thing, or you'll have your aha moment. So I hope that helps you realize that you can have 3 totally different dreams and not despair and just go, I'm gonna forget about this because I have no idea how to use that. Talk to you later.